All right, Nick, we've got some great news about the Florida State Seminoles. We've got some interesting comments about the quarterback situation. I think Seminole fans are going to love this one. I'm Andrew, and this is Saturday Morning Inspection. All right, Nick, as I said, we have some interesting comments that head coach Mike Norvell has come out and said about the quarterback position. I think this is something when you hear it, it really speaks volumes about how this offseason has gone. I think it's going to be great for Florida State fans. So let's get into the article and we can dissect it a little bit more on the other side. This, of course, is from over on the Yard Barker. It says, Florida State Seminoles have put a lot of hope and trust in quarterback DJ Uiagalelei. Recently speaking at the ACC football kickoff event, head coach Mike Norvell said he's happy with how DJ has made the transition to the Seminoles offense this offseason. So he's done a wonderful job, Norvell said, and it's good through rule changes now for us to be able to be on the field while they're going on air and being able to operate through plays, at least to be able to build upon the timing with receivers and routes on air and things like that. It was good to see his growth. You can see the confidence in the rhythm, the timing. You can see those relationships continuing to grow with all the different skill players, just even in how he's communicating, the confidence and understanding of what we're asking him to do. He's done an incredible job. Norvell continues saying, you see his body, carrying his body weight, as good as I've seen him, and his movements, just conditioning aspect of all. He's done a great job of leading by example, and I'm excited to see him take the field. I think this is probably as good of an endorsement from a head coach as you're going to get. He's saying they're building on the playbook. They're building on the timing. He's carrying himself more like a leader. He's in the best shape of his life. All the things you want to hear about a quarterback, especially your new quarterback that you're not exactly sure how he's going to do this year, but it sounds like from Coach Norvell's comments, he's going to do pretty good. Nick, I'm curious what your thoughts are on this one. But before we get to you, FSU fans, Seminole fans, in the comment section below, this is going to be a very different year for college football. Games are going to mean a lot more. I think it's going to be pretty interesting as how things go. But let us know, speaking of games, what is your favorite matchup coming up this season? I think there's a lot of really good ones, but let us know in the comment section below what your favorite one will be. But Nick, what are your thoughts on these comments about DJ Uiagalelei?
Well, there's a lot to unpack there, right? But I think the most important thing in my mind is the communication when he talked about the way Uiagalelei is communicating, handling himself, working with different receivers and skilled players, getting on the same page. Because anytime you bring in a transfer, really at the quarterback position, that's the biggest concern. Because obviously, if you got a guy in the program that's been there for 2 or 3 years, along with the receivers and other skill players, they already know how to communicate. They're already on the same page. Everyone knows the offense, right? Everyone's in rhythm. But when you bring in a transfer guy, there's always that concern, even if you have an entire spring, because spring is obviously going to be very limited, the number of practices you can have. It's very structured. Some guys sit it out. You miss a lot of time. A lot of programs like Florida State, they use spring to kind of evaluate and grow some of their mid-tier younger talent, so you're not getting a million reps ones-on-ones. So sometimes the big concern is you bring in a transfer quarterback, hey, listen, is he going to be kind of slow to start the regular season because he's just not on the same page with the wide receivers yet? That's not the case here. And I think that's a great sign for Florida State. But it also is an indication why bringing Uiagalelei was a really great move for a program in Florida State that's ready to win a national title now. You talk about the fact he's got a great body in terms of he's carrying the weight in the right spots. Basically, he didn't get overweight over summer, right? He took care of himself, which is code for he's a grown-up, right? He's an adult. And this is one of the things I really like about transfers, and we talk about it all the time on this channel. Transfers, guys who are 18, 19, 20 years old, who are willing and able to pick up their entire lives at one school and go somewhere completely different, that's a grown-up, right? That's an adult. To be able to do that is really impressive, especially at that age. And Uiagalelei has obviously done it twice. Clemson, out to the West Coast, now back here down south to Florida State. He's a grown-up. He's mature. He's been around the block not once, but twice, right? He knows what it takes to win. He knows what he needs to do to put himself in the best position to lead the Seminoles to victory. I think Uiagalelei is going to have a great start for the season for Florida State, and because he's taking care of his body, I think he'll be healthy the rest of the way. And one of the things everyone's sleeping on is a healthy Florida State Seminole squad. We're not talking about one of the best teams in the ACC. Obviously they are, but one of the best teams in the country. I think come playoff time, I think they're in it, and I think they make a serious run deep to maybe pull off a national title.
Yeah, Nick, and you talk about DJ, you talk about what he's been able to do. This is a guy who, he was a star at Clemson for a while there. He's a very, very popular guy. You get benched for a guy like Cade Klubnik, who I think, last year kind of underperformed a little bit. That's probably disappointing. You get benched for that guy, you leave, you go to Oregon State. Maybe weighs on you a little bit, but he goes off. He does his thing at Oregon State, puts on a good performance. And what does he do? He gets rewarded. Florida State sees what he's able to do, gets in the transfer portal, gets picked up by probably, I would say, a stronger team than Clemson, especially in recent years. This is a Florida State team that I think is phenomenal. They've got a lot of weapons. They've got a lot of tools. They've got a really great head coach and Coach Norvell. I love what he's doing down there in Tallahassee. I think this is a program that really, like you said, this is a national championship contending program. I don't think they lose too much of a step. I think Jordan Travis was a fantastic player. I think DJ Uiagalelei is a different player, but I still think he's very good. And I think he's going to allow this offense to do a lot of really, really good things. So I'd love to hear the comments. I think everything's looking like it's going, up for the Seminoles. I think everything's rolling in the right direction. And I think it's about as good as you could ask for in terms of what you're hearing about the transfer quarterback. So if I'm a Seminoles fan, I'm starting to get pretty excited about this season. Things seem like they are going to go very, very well.